Members, we have a quorum. I call the meeting to order. Item 1 on the agenda. Confirmation of minutes of the meeting. Minutes of the meeting held on the 27th of March 2013 have been sent to members, and the Secretariat has not received any proposals for amendments. I think we can confirm the minutes. Next, the clerk has also issued the list of outstanding items for discussion and also the list of follow-up actions. Those are in your papers. Please make reference to them. And number 3, the list of outstanding items including online learning support program, it will be followed up in the next year because this is our last meeting for this year. Item 2 on the agenda, information papers issued since the last meeting. A citizen has written in with regard to the broadcast of the Asian Olympic Games and also large-scale World Games. That submission has been sent out to members on the 8th of July. Okay, next we have 3 agenda items today. Number 1, facilitating a digital economy under the Digital 21 strategy. We revisit the topic every year. It's a kind of updating or progress report. Let us now invite the administration to come in. Attending for this item, we have the Permanent Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Ms. Susie Ho, and also Mr. Daniel Lai, Government Chief Information Officer, Ms. Joey Lam, Deputy Government Chief Information Officer, and Mr. Jason Pen, Assistant Government Chief Information Officer. P.S. One of the main initiatives is to facilitate a digital economy under the 21 strategy. Hong Kong would like to develop into a knowledge-based economy, and every year we report to the panel. Now we give you the progress and also our way forward. Hong Kong possesses a world-class technological infrastructure, and we also operate in a safe environment. This has helped the buoyant development of the ICT industry. With the cooperation of the industry and government and the community, we have achieved great progress in terms of technological development, and we have also got a very good status and also performance record worldwide. We will continue to work closely with the ICT industry to formulate and implement initiatives to promote digital economy. We have 8 important initiatives, and the Chief Information Officer will give us a briefing. Are you going to use the PowerPoint? Yes. Please be brief. Thank you, Chairman. The second one, please. Chairman, the SARG has always worked together with the ICT industry in order to promote digital development in Hong Kong, and we have achieved great progress. In terms of ICT rankings, Hong Kong has always performed very well. For example, in 2013, in the World Competitive Yearbook, in respect of technological infrastructure, we have been ranked first globally. And for a row of 3 years, in terms of data center risk index, we have come first, and also within the Asia-Pacific region, we are the safest place to set up a data center. And also, the Asia Cloud Computing Association has ranked Hong Kong the 3rd in the Asia-Pacific region in terms of cloud readiness. In 2012, we have an 86 household broadband penetration rate and also mobile penetration of over 228%. Our average peak internet connection speed and also our average connection speed rank 3rd and the fastest, respectively, in the whole wide world. We are formulating new initiatives to drive the digital economy. I will not go into the details, but I will cover all the 8 aspects briefly. First of all, development of cloud computing. The government has taken up or adopting the cloud model to improve our efficiency and deliver better public services. We will invest over $240 million during the next 5 years to establish a private cloud or GovCloud for the government to support common e-government services. We'll also take different initiatives in order to promote cloud computing and also industry development, including facilitating the development of data centers, collaborating with the mainland on the development of cloud services, and facilitating adoption of ICT and cloud services among the SMEs, and also will open up different public sector information in helping the local industries develop creative and innovative cloud solutions. Data centers are an important support for the continued development of our economy, and also they help in consolidating Hong Kong's world-class status. We have promoted the development of data centers with a basket of measures, and Hong Kong has also become a hub for data centers in the region. In Tseung Kwan O Industrial Estate, there are already a cluster of 12 high-tier data centers. We have also earmarked 2 hectares of land in Tseung Kwan O outside the industrial center for high-tier data center development, with the first 1 hectare site now open for tender for 3 months until the 4th of October 2013. We also encourage the industry to make the best use of existing industrial land or buildings to develop high-tier data centers. Within just 1 year of the measure, the administration has already received a total of 6 applications, 2 of which have been approved and the remaining 4 are being processed. And we have set up the Data Center Facilitating Unit, which provides information and one-stop services to organizations interested in the development and operation of data centers in Hong Kong. 3. Overseas data center operators have already set up 2 high-tier data centers covering 3 hectares, and we are still promoting this within the mainland and also outside Hong Kong. In terms of ICT collaboration with the mainland, we do it in 3 different ways. First of all, the mutual recognition scheme, and also technological collaboration and also technology exchanges. The mutual recognition of electronic signature certificates has become regularized to support cross-boundary e-commerce. We have also set up the Hong Kong Guangdong Expert Committee on Cloud Computing Services and Standards, and also we have launched the portal for reference by mainland and Hong Kong business operators. We have also set up an online synergy platform, so experts on the 2 sides can continuously discuss the various technology topics. And also we have participated in symposia, seminar, and also exhibitions in order to promote technological exchange. And we have also brought Hong Kong ICT companies to take part in exhibitions on the mainland. On manpower development, we will continue to provide a conducive environment for well-qualified people to flourish in Hong Kong in order to meet the needs of the industry. We do it in 3 aspects. We have different schemes. We have the internship program, and also we encourage secondary and university students to further their careers in the ICT field. In order to continuously develop the manpower resources, we have held the IT-man workshop, and 50-odd participants were seen from the ICT industry. We collected views in order to see how we can take another step to help Hong Kong build our ICT manpower base. And the measures and recommendations of the workshop are being implemented. And at the Digital 21 Strategy Advisory Committee, we have set up the Task Force on ICT Professional Development and Recognition. It is now formulating a framework on ICT professional certification and recognition. The government is committed to promoting green ICT and has implemented a range of green ICT initiatives for the adoption of the industry in order to save energy, and also we encourage them and also ask them to use green ICT. We are also gradually improving the data center practices in order to achieve the best energy saving results. In terms of procurement, with regard to normal ICT products, we have already got a list of green measures, and we do our procurement according to it. And also, we have set up the green procurement head. And in terms of startups, we understand that startups are a vital breeding ground of innovative ideas and powerful products. And through the Cyberport and Science Park, we provide financial and other forms of assistance to fledgling ICT companies. For example, the Cyberport Creative Micro Fund, CCMF, provides subsidies to ICT projects. And Cyberport and Science Park do operate incubation programs to provide free rental office space, financial assistance, training, and advice to new ICT startups. So far, more than 270 companies have completed the programs, with over 70 of them still in operation. Recently, we have set up a cross-departmental committee in order to coordinate the services provided by different organizations so that we can have synergy and so that we can promote this startup culture. We are going to develop a one-stop portal for prospective and existing startups so that there will be a platform for matching startups and angel investors, practical templates and samples for various documents from business registration. This will be particularly important for SMEs and startups. And also, at the Productivity Center at the SME1, we are going to set up a startup corner in Hong Kong in order to provide them with a comprehensive range of information. The administration also works a lot in order to help SMEs adopt ICT. In January 2013, we launched a portal on cloud computing called InfoCloud to provide SMEs with useful information on cloud computing, user guides, and best practices. All these years, the government has provided many different schemes to support SMEs. And with regard to ICT schemes, we have the sector-specific program, SSP, and also the IT training program, ITTP, providing funding support to 22 projects in 16 sectors. And 21 such projects have been completed, benefiting over 17,000 SME practitioners. A new round of sector-specific program is in the stage of inviting invitations, and it's expected that in 2013 we have another round of assistance under the SSP. In order to provide a conducive environment for the development of the industry, just on the 8th to the 21st of April 2013, we organized with the ICT industry the first ever International IT Fest. We have got 21 events covering various ICT scope and areas, and we have recorded 46,000 attendees. The response was enthusiastic, and those from the mainland and overseas numbered 17,000 altogether. The IT Fest showcased the Hong Kong performance in ICT and also promotes Hong Kong as the ICT hub in Asia Pacific. We are now planning for next year's IT Fest to be held in April in 2014. This is what we would like to update members on facilitating a digital economy.
Thank you, Mr. Lai. Now, on facilitating a digital economy under the Digital 21 strategy, every year they report to this panel their progress. So we can compare this year's effort with last year and see what has been achieved. So 4 minutes each for each member. First round questions and answers included. Mr. Sin Chung Kai. Chairman, I don't know whether I could properly phrase this question. Now, on the government's initiative to promote cloud computing, well, this is worthy of our support. In 2007-08, we were already talking about data centers when we were talking about the industrial areas in Chengguan-O and whether those premises could be subleased, and ultimately the government did so. So coming back to Snowden, the Edward Snowden incident exposed a number of things. That is, the United States would require cloud computing service providers like Microsoft or Google to, on a warrant from the relevant authority in the NSA, the service providers are required to provide sensitive information. If the cloud is operated in US, I'm sure that information will have to be proffered. Whereas for Hong Kong, my question is whether we have the right to refuse their request. I understand that no license is required to operate a data center. The only concern may be personal data privacy. So the question is, does Hong Kong have the authority to tell the US authorities that for information placed with the cloud operated by companies in Hong Kong or individuals in Hong Kong, can we reject their request to provide any information? Well, we still have the next agenda item. We can discuss that with Snowden then. Mr. Lai. In Hong Kong, personal data privacy is protected by legislation. Be it cloud computing, regardless of any what enterprise it is, they must follow the laws of Hong Kong. My question is this: apart from the laws of Hong Kong, for data centers or operated in Hong Kong or cloud computing service providers in Hong Kong, I don't know whether the Privacy Commissioner or your office can help. Can anything be done on the part of the government? For example, audit and see whether they are in compliance. I mean, apart from complying with the law, is there anything that can check whether they have done the relevant measures? Well, there are data centers, there are cloud computings. Well, many of them operated by multinational companies in Hong Kong. Few of them are set up by Hong Kong companies. So your question is meaningful. So they may be required to provide information on the U.S. government's request. What about Hong Kong's government? Now, if the court procedure in the United States has been carried out and that something should be done, and if the information is kept by the Hong Kong company, then they need to go through a certain procedure in order for the information to be collected. I don't know from the securities perspective, but that's from my perspective. Perhaps we can wait for the next item on information security. We can follow up on it. Next, Mr. Wong Ting Kwong. Chairman, thank you. Para 25 of the paper states that since 1992, $270 companies in the ICT fields have been incubated, meaning a successful rate of 70% and an unsuccessful rate of 30%. Which paragraph, Mr. Wong? Para 25. Paper 834/1213 That is to say, 30% were unsuccessful. Has the administration reviewed the reasons for the 30% unsuccessful rate? Has it to do with inadequate resources or complex formalities, and any way to improve them? That's my question. Just now, Mrs. Regina Yip is away for now, but she has asked me to ask a question. Or ask this question first. This is about startup companies, right? Now, Mrs. Yip's question is this. On cloud computing, well, many people are confused. They are like foggy-headed. That's cloud computing and Internet and Things under fog. Well, it seems that you don't understand. Well, Chief Information Officer, do you understand Mrs. Yip's question as cited by Mr. Wong? So please answer the first part of the question on startup companies. At the international level, for startup companies, if the successful rate is 70%, that's very high. We're talking about startup enterprises. It's the first experience for them. And as we understand, it had not to do with resources, but rather to do with the mode of operation, so on and so forth. And these businesses were then transformed. And after the first failure, many of these startup companies would restart their businesses. So the rate of 70% is actually quite high. What about the second question? Internet of Things. Internet of Things, it's a new technology. It provides a network of things. That is, sensors will be attached to tangible things for them to be connected on the internet. We are looking at innovative technologies, and this is one of the areas we're looking at. For example, for the Transport Department, they are considering using this technology to gauge traffic volume, and the airport can also rely on this technology to know whether a certain parking space has been taken up, and this information can be transmitted to a computer system. And we have the Science Park and the GS1 in Hong Kong, and they have already set up an Internet of Things research center. They also have a display gallery for displaying this latest technology. Next, Dr. Lo Wai Kwok. WIPO recently released a report on innovation and creativity, and Hong Kong ranked seventh around the world and first among Asia. And they covered certain areas like creative technology, so on and so forth. And but, however, well, Chairman, your Chinese is very good. So may I use a classical saying and to illustrate this point? The administration talks about the incubation programs and grooming of talents. I know that there are various incubation funds, so on and so forth, but whenever a new product is invented, the administration does not actively procure them. That is to do with the next agenda item, and that is the administration has been criticized by the industry for neglecting the achievements of the sector. And that is to say, the administration has never actively procured the technology and products invented by them. So I think we should not just discuss the use of the fruit of other people's research. We should also encourage the development of technology in Hong Kong. So they should be actively put to use. I'd like the administration to respond, please. Just in Taiwan, we have HTC. In Korea, we have Samsung. So, Mr. Lai? Well, we're happy to see that we ranked almost the top as far as innovation, creative technology is concerned. As for procurement of ICT products, the government has all along adopted a fair and just approach in procurement. Well, Dr. Low talks about security products, but we are procuring products as well as the service. And under our regular procurement agreement, 9 companies at present provide such services. And 5 of these 9 companies are local companies, 2 of which are SMEs. And last year, we spent 15 million in the procurement exercise, and $11 million out of which have been allocated to local service providers. So we are using services provided by local companies. And in a gallery in Cyberport, we have been displaying locally produced products, especially those which have received ICT awards worldwide. We have been promoting these products to various departments. I still have some time left, Chairman. Well, the GCIO just expressed his commitment, but I really hope that on the part of government, more such products can be procured. Can you give us some specific figures? For example, for startup companies, and how much subsidy do they receive? And please give us some statistics in writing. Next, Mr. Ma Fengkuo. Thank you, Chairman. On the development of cloud computing, in the administration's paper, it's mentioned that SMEs will be assisted as far as ICT is concerned. So for specific sectors, for example, the film industry, which I'm familiar with, require huge volume of transmission of data. For example, for The Life of Pi by director Ang Lee, it was produced in Taiwan, and and at that time, the Taiwanese government also had a platform to help them. So would the administration have something similar to help our industry and to encourage them to use cloud computing? Well, in the past, we had sector-specific programs to support various industries. For example, for film industry, in Cyberport, we have established a state-of-the-art platform specifically for the transmission of data. For digital cinema in Hong Kong, the majority of them is using this platform to import movies from over the world to Hong Kong for further distribution to various cinemas. For movies under production, they can also make use of this platform for data transmission. This is a very quick, expeditious way for the filming industry to transmit data.
What about the TV industry? Can you achieve the same result? This is the same as films. It can be transmitted. I'm not talking about broadcasting. I'm talking about the distribution of programs. In principle, yes. But it may not be transmitted to the households. But if it's amongst the different TV stations, that won't be a problem. Next one, Elizabeth Quat. Thank you, Chairman. I welcome that under the Digital 21 strategy, you have got the Green ICT initiative. Please speak into the microphone, please. I said that I welcome that within this strategy, you have mentioned your emphasis on green ICT. I'd like to follow up. Could you set a target? We always ask about data centers operated by the government and also whether IT is very much power consuming. Do you have an energy saving initiative and target? And also when you promote data centers in Hong Kong, I welcome the mentioning of the great green data center practices, but do you have criteria and also targets so the public will not question you as to the use of huge amounts of electricity, so our city is polluted as a result of data center development? And also, what about SMEs? If they can make use of green ICT, they can be helped to save energy and reduce emission. They will use less electricity, they will use less cost, so they are more competitive. So how can you promote the use of green ICT amongst SMEs? And the third question, infrastructure. In terms of mobile communication, the penetration rate is very high. Most of us use smartphones and we need to use Wi-Fi some of the time. What is the Wi-Fi infrastructure going to be like? How many hotspots do we have now? And do you have a plan how many hotspots the entire territory should have? Because in many other cities they set a target. I don't think he can answer all the questions raised by you in 2 minutes. First of all, green ICT. Thank you, Chairman. In terms of the power consumption of government data centers, now the government has 29 such data centers. Most of them are situated together with other offices. We do not have an independent electricity meter or account, so it's very difficult to know how much power is used. But it doesn't mean we're not going to do anything. In the coming future, some of the data centers will be consolidated. When we do so, there will be a data center building, and we have set the target of injecting many green initiatives. And the BUE will have to come down. But now, since we do not have independent meter or account, it cannot be seen. But the best practices have been distributed to all the 29 data centers. As for SMEs, we have the Green ICT Handbook, which is distributed online. So SMEs can follow the handbook proposals. And last but not least, Wi-Fi hotspots. Now we have 400 government buildings or venues which provide Wi-Fi connection. And we have also set the target of increasing that to 440 within the year. Recently, some departments have raised applications. For example, in the report rooms of the Hong Kong police and also at the courts, we're going to provide Wi-Fi connection. And in fact, the target will be 470 instead of 440 because of those applications. And we are working with service providers in the industry to see whether we can develop Wi-Fi connection in Hong Kong together. Next one, Charles Mock. Thank you, Chairman. This is an annual report on Digital 21. It's a progress report. It covers all the aspects more or less, but I don't think I can ask questions on each one within 4 minutes. I will make comments and ask questions on the larger issues. First of all, this is a report which lets us know what has been done, what are the activities and what have been done, but we do not have service targets and you do not provide new positioning or new strategies. This is what is inadequate about this report, because you would just be reporting to us what you have done in the last year, but that of course is to be expected. But what about the effectiveness, the targets, for example, local industrial development, industrial policies, manpower resources, the setting up of an IT bureau or authority, and then research and development? This is not mentioned in the paper. We understand that this is a document provided by the Oxio, but a lot of R&D would belong to Innovation and Technology Department. Well, this has to do with the bureaucracy of the government, but I think we have to look at these issues together. So in future, when you write this report, you should give us a holistic view. Okay, back to this OGCIO jurisdiction. You mentioned procurement, as mentioned by Mr. Lo Wai Kwok. That is also support for local industries. The GCIO said that under the SOA QPS, there are many local companies, and they also provide service, they procure products. But the thing is, have you calculated how many products are actually provided by local companies, especially software? And in fact, Hong Kong doesn't really produce any hardware. So how much of the software is produced in Hong Kong? We must not mix up services and products. The service may be about system integration, but there is another part. Now this is of course a report, and we are waiting for another Digital 21 paper. In fact, you can let us know your plan about a new Digital 21 strategy. We have waited for it for very long. I hope within that new strategy there will be new positioning and new directions, and also some performance targets. I'll leave some time for them to answer. GCIO, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Mok, for your comments. With regard to a new Digital 21 strategy, you will receive a draft within the week. On the 18th of July, we will talk about this new strategy with the Digital 21 Strategy Advisory Committee. Sorry, Chairman, I'd like them to respond to the procurement policy because products and services are different. GCIO, that question was asked. Right now, we have no policy that companies must use local or mainland or overseas products. What matters is that the product is suited to the need of a certain department. So we follow our procurement and tendering procedures. If yes, Mr. Yu Si-wing. In para 31, in May 2013, you will launch a new round of sector-specific program, and you have set aside $3 million for sponsoring projects that develop applications and solutions for the individual SME sectors. I'd like to ask, is the $3 million for the entire year? And you are going to support which sector and what kind of software? Have you done it before? If yes, what was the result? And in the future, do you have a target for using this $3 million? GCIO. Thank you, Chairman. In this year, we did not limit it to any particular sector because in the last few years, we have acted on one particular sector. Like last time, we targeted the security industry. And then the year before last, it was retail and wholesale. And then another year, tourism. But this year, we have talked to the industry, and a few sectors thought that they could do cloud computing to reduce cost. We are going to support 3 projects without specifying which sector they should come from. Mr. Yu? So how do you make a decision? Would you just respond to applications, or are you going to consult anyone? In fact, we will invite applications from different sectors, and non-profit making organizations can also apply. What is important is they let us know what they would like to do and who are going to benefit, and whether the system is sustainable. The important thing is that they have a good mode of operation or business, and we'll make a decision then. And is $3 million enough? As experience tells you. Well, we think yes. Last time we actually did the cloud-based teleprotection system for security patrol operation. It only cost $0.9 million, so it should be enough. What about the future targets? Are you going to support just 3 every year? Last year, there were only 2 applications. This year, we have set it at 3. And we do not stipulate that it must be 3 every year. We think 3 is appropriate this year. Okay. Yes, Miss Emily Lau. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to ask about SMEs. I have mentioned this in recent years. SMEs don't always use cloud computing, I think because of good reasons. In Para 30, 17,000 SME practitioners have benefited from your IT training program. What does this number say about the entire workforce in the SME sector? You say if they use cloud computing, it will be less costly for their business. You said they have not been using it because they did not know how to use it. So is it still very difficult for them, and how many SMEs are using cloud computing now? GCIO? You have to look at the size of the SMEs. If it is really a small company with just a few pairs of hands, sometimes it's just a shoe repair shop and IT may not help them a lot. But some SMEs are in the printing industry. They can use IT very well. They can use an IT system to do design, and then they can print documents for people, and then they can also distribute the product. If they use cloud computing, it will always cut costs for them. And just now, working with the Productivity Council, we have done some research because we could see that SMEs could use cloud computing in some ways in the future. Now we are investigating the issue and to see which applications will help them. We hope that through certain programs we can help SMEs make more use of ICT. Chairman, that's what I was asking. What is your estimate as to the percentage of SMEs which will benefit? You said that some of them won't use cloud computing and they can be taken out of the equation, but how many are using ICT and how many more will benefit? Well, this is exactly what we are trying to find out through the Census and Statistics Department. You don't know this all these years? We have been asking you this question all these years. A few years ago you said no, the majority don't use, and now you are still trying to investigate into the issue. How much time will you take to do this?
GCIO, I suppose by 2014 we'll be able to get an accurate figure. Chairman, 2014, so when will you be able to help them? We're working at snail pace. Although we rank the first, why aren't we helping SMEs at this speed? It doesn't mean that we need to wait for all the statistics. Well, through the programs for SME, we are helping them. For example, we're helping the security industry and also the retail and wholesale industry, and we have 3 projects for 3 different sectors. Well, so you've heard Ms. Lau's comment, right? We have 2 more items to go. We have spent much time on this one. So let's make good use of time. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong has raised his hand. Who else? Who would like to comment further on this Digital 21 strategy? Chairman, I'd like to ask about Cyberport. Well, we all understand that Cyberport was constructed for the private residential development next to it. Now, what is the vacancy rate or the of Cyberport? It seems that the Hong Kong Mercantile Exchange also rented Cyberport. So, can you say something about the utilization rate of Cyberport? How many companies are related to the industry? I believe that last time when we discussed the Cyberport report, we touched upon this issue. But GCIO, perhaps you can answer Mr. Leung Kwok Hong's question. Well, there are 2 parts of Cyberport. One is about 1 million square meters of space, or square feet of space for office. It's 86%. That's the utilization rate. For the shopping mall, the utilization rate is 95%. 93% for the shopping mall. So, how is it relevant to ICT? For the shopping mall, it's part of the design to provide ancillary facilities. For example, banks and shops and eateries for the office workers. Is it for Bel Air, the residents next to it? So only 86% of office space was let out. So that means there are vacant premises. So how many of the tenants are related to ICT? All of them are related to ICT. Only those related to ICT can rent the premises there. All right, Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, anything further? What about Hong Kong Mercantile Exchange? The Hong Kong Mercantile Exchange is not the topic for discussion today. So let's wrap up this agenda item. Basically, we accept this paper from the administration on facilitating a digital economy. A number of members have raised issues and make suggestions. For example, Mr. Charles Moore has asked for information or indicators. So please give us the information. Next item on information security. 2 of the officials will be excused. 2 other officials for from the Office of the Communications Authority will be here. I mean, Deputy Government Chief Information Officer Consulting Operations, Mr. Victor Lam, and Mr. Alex Lee, Assistant Government Chief Information Officer, IT Strategy. Well, they will be coming back to brief us on Digital 21 strategy anyway. So, over to you. Well, as said by Chairman, every year we'll come back to report on information security, and this year we've come back to report to members our work. Development of the Internet and information technology has been rapid for individuals and organizations. The Internet is a very expeditious way and to get things done, and information security is recently a very hot topic, is of major concern, and we should all properly make use of the computer systems and protect data privacy in the systems. And we do have a comprehensive system in promoting information management and information security. We have a number of measures to protect the data, and we also have regular audits and security threats and risk assessments. And we also have measures to improve the existing facilities. We also provide training to staff to ensure that they have they have sufficient skills and capability to deal with this area of work. For the sector, we hold seminars to help them familiarize themselves with the relevant information security matters, and the OGCIO also keeps close watch on the security threats in various areas. And we also have, for example, a thematic portal, and we also work with the Hong Kong CERT, and the Security Bureau on the latest recommendations on improving our information security to resist any security attacks. Well, we have 2 agenda items, and so 3 minutes for each member. I need to keep watch of the time. So, Mr. Lee, please be brief. Thank you, Chairman, members. I now report to members the latest progress of the government's information security program since July last year. Now, basically, it covers information threats and risks measures in the government and information security in the wider community. Over the past year, as shown by some figures, the trend of information security incidents on the rise, and we received 1,050 security incident reports. And from the police force, the number of technology crime cases was 3,015, the majority being on fraud and phishing and hacking incidents. Now, on information measures in the government, we have completed a review on the departmental security risk assessment and implement governance mechanism on security compliance. In particular, when cloud computing is introduced, the departments need to ensure that proper security measures are in place, and third-party audit is also required so that all parties are aware of the relevant security risks, and loopholes will be plugged, and measures should be implemented properly to enhance security and update. And thirdly, on enhancing staff's skills and professional development, we have seminars on promoting information security awareness, and also covering topics like cloud computing, personal data privacy, etc., etc. And 82 security alerts, high threat security alerts, and 3 security reminders were issued by us so that we could remind the departments to be aware of the attacks in a timely manner. And we also promote best practices as far as information security is concerned in order to protect our computer systems. As for promoting awareness of information security, since 2012, we adopted the theme of build a secure cyberspace to promote public's awareness on strengthening the protection of their computer devices against cyber attacks. And with development in cloud technology, the government needs to raise the awareness of the public in this regard. And we collaborated with the expert group on cloud computing services and standards. We have 2 checklists which are released online for public access. And the government also actively takes part in international activities in adopting international security standards and best practices. Next year, in April, we will host a meeting in Hong Kong in order to create to discuss the standards and the techniques in the area of information security, and we'll meet with some 300 security experts and professionals. We'll also enhance our capability to resist against cyber attacks, and we also have mobile apps for citizens to receive the latest alerts and information. At present, around 90,000 people have subscribed to information security under this app, and the office is responsible for coordinating and taking collaborative measures to combat cyber attacks. And the OGCIO is collaborating closely with the police force and the Hong Kong CERT. The police force also established a Cyber Security Center, CSC, in December 2012 to set up a coordination mechanism to protect the key components of the system and to handle emergency incidents. As for OGCIO, we will also collaborate with the other departments and to conduct drills so that in the case of emergency incidents, the information systems will remain intact. Finally, in order to maintain a safe and secure information environment, the government must pay attention to prevailing security threats and safeguard our systems and promote security awareness to the community so that we can all properly make use of information security systems to protect ourselves in the local cyber environment. Well, inevitably, we are going to discuss Mr. Edward Snowden. We have a number of members waiting in line to speak. So 3 minutes each, questions and answers inclusive. Mr. Ma Fung Kwok. Now, on the face of it, the administration's paper, which has listed out the work, seems satisfactory. My only concern is Mr. Edward Snowden's incident and the government's stance in this matter. And there is no mentioning in this paper. In fact, we were all stunned because somebody has come here to tell us what the United States government done and how the intrusion took place. Well, he had revealed all, and the United States government didn't deny his saying. So my question is how we can keep our system safe. For example, there has been intrusion in into our backbone. The Hong Kong internet exchange operated by a Chinese university, and the officer or the responsible person came out and said that nothing was wrong, we were safe. So has there been adequate protection? How do we judge whether adequate protection is in place? This has risen to become an international incident, and he's now on the hunt. So how does the government protect our privacy and our information security? GCIO. About the Hong Kong Internet Exchange at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, we inquired with the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and so far there hasn't been evidence to suggest that the HKIE has been intruded. This is just a center for exchange of data, and they have dedicated staff working round the clock. Intrusion, Chairman. They're just testing the mic, not relevant. They have dedicated staff to monitor the network. They also have audit checks, and nothing has been found. So are you suggesting the Chinese university hasn't been intruded? Well, he won't be able to answer your question, Mr. Ma Fung Kwok. The hackers working for NSA and the Chinese counterpart, well, they are cream of the crop, so he won't be able to answer your question. Now the GCIO's answer is that the Hong Kong CU has so far located no evidence. That's their allegation.
Miss Elizabeth Kwok, I heard we have not been hacked. In 2011, 1,000 security incidents, and then in 2012, 3,000 cyber crimes. You have said that the CEO of Hong Kong has not discovered any hacking. I'd like to know how many of the incidents and alerts are to do with overseas or local hacking, and how many have to do with the government. You said there are numerous measures to protect the government from hacking or phished. However, what about the CU Hong Kong or other public facilities which are very important to Hong Kong, like power companies and also MTRCL? If the electricity system is hacked and controlled, it can cause a disaster. If you only protect government departments, will you also require the public bodies to also mount security measures? GCIO, with regard to security incidents, since the internet connects the entire world, even at the Hong Kong CERT, it really doesn't know from where the hacking has been done. Of course, if the Hong Kong police have to gather the evidence, then we may know where it has originated. Say, for example, the police have discovered that some of the hacking has originated from the mainland. But in the internet world, we're talking about global connectivity. So in the normal incidents, there will not be any analysis as to from where it has come. Chairman, my question has not been answered. How many times has the government been hacked? I don't think he can answer you. I'm not talking about overseas, because you don't know the origin of hacking. They talk about 1,050 security incident reports. They have to be reported by someone. If a department is hacked, it will make a report, but it will not be made public. I think these incident reports are those reported to the government for help. Is that right? Yes, Chairman. These reports have been reported by the public to Hong Kong CERT. But it could have been reported by people who have discovered hacking. Okay, I won't talk about these 1,000 or 3,000 reports. Has the government been hacked? Deputy CIO. In the past 5 years, the government has not been hacked so that there was an information leak. Ms. Quat asked about protection of infrastructure operators. Usually, there is regulation under the relevant laws. They have to do risk and also risk management, and also they have to have contingency plans so that their operation is always normal, and they have to do risk assessment and improvement on a regular basis. But even so, last year, in December, the Hong Kong police has started the CSC, and it has to do with local and also overseas security. It targets critical infrastructures so that there could be coordination and follow-up. This is the Cybersecurity Center operated by the Hong Kong Police. Mr. Charles Mok, because of time constraint, I will only ask a few specific questions. You mentioned a few times the Hong Kong CERT. Every year, how much money is given to it by the government? Is it enough? Is there a need for review? And secondly, the internet infrastructure workforce. It is said that a lot of the hacking is done at the backbone level, as reviewed by Mr. Snowden. How many meetings have been held? I have seen the last report in March 2011. So is the task force still operating? And specifically, Mr. Snowden said that there was hacking into the CU Hong Kong system, but you said it could not be specified. And the other is PACnet. The Hong Kong landing of this company has been hacked. Is that right? Have you investigated into the issue? Last but not least, in the last motion debate, my amendment was carried, and that is the administration should reinstate or revive the cross-departmental working group on computer-related crimes. What is the stance of the OGCIO so that you will coordinate with the Security Bureau to revive this working group in order to map out a new direction? Last time, that working group put forward over 50 proposals. OGCIO, I will answer the first question and then the others will be taken by my deputy. Under the Productivity Council, we have this Hong Kong CERT. It was set up in 2011. In the first year, its operation was provided with $10.7 million by the Innovation and Technology Fund. And $3.7 million were provided by the CED Bureau. And now my office provides the funding. So it was like 7.3 million, and starting from 2011, 9.89 million, and this year 9.95 million. It draws up its own business plan every year, and the amount was proposed by them. So I believe it should be enough. Mr. Charles Mock, sorry. Let them continue. With regard to the Internet Infrastructure Working Group, it is a liaison kind of group. It includes government, the police, and also Internet providers, etc. It was set up in 2005. And by June 2013, it has held 9 meetings. But it doesn't mean that the working group is not in existence or alive and kicking. Actually, we have issued over 40 emails through the working group to do coordination. With regard to the recent PACnet incident, again, we have worked through the working group in order to remind Internet service providers and also other members to step up cyber security. We believe all stakeholders will be able to strengthen their security arrangements through this Internet Infrastructure Liaison Group. Mr. Charles Mock mentioned the working group on computer-related crimes. Can I ask the Permanent Secretary to answer your question? With regard to the 50-odd recommendations by the Computer-Related Crime Working Group, actually many of the proposals have been implemented. I understand you recently wrote a letter to the CE's office. Now we are considering the matter with the Security Bureau, and I believe there will be a joint answer to be given to members later. We need some time to consider the issue. Did you ask PACnet what happened? Did you liaise with the company? Chairman, through the police, we liaised with PACnet, and it has promised that it will take a closer look at whether it has been hacked or whether there have been signs of hacking in the recent years. They might report to the public at the appropriate time. Mr. Lo Wai Kwok. Actually, a few members have questioned the administration with regard to the hacking into Hong Kong computer systems because of the Snowden incident. It says no. Now, perhaps you are really of a high quality, or you are of such low quality that even if you were hacked, you did not know. I hope it is the former, not the latter. Talking about the PRISM operation, it seems it has penetrated into every area all over the world. Now that you tell me there is nothing that has happened in Hong Kong, I'm actually all the more made to be afraid. In para 4, you said that there is regular audit on risks. I'd like to know what you mean by critical security systems. How do you do your risk assessment and audit so the public are reassured? In other words, through your assessment and audit that everything is really safe? Because we have heard from the industry that the administration doesn't like to use locally developed security techniques that are even adopted by overseas companies, and also large operations in Hong Kong seem to want to decorate Christmas trees more instead of invest on cyber security. If that's the case, then computer security in Hong Kong is really worrying. Mr. Low asked a question on para 12, item 4, conduct of regular security risk assessment and audit for critical IT systems. DCIO. Thank you. Mr. Low's question can be replied to as follows. If a system is externally oriented, then it is an important system, and certainly we will do audit and also third-party audit or verification. Now, what do? Usually, before a system is up and running, we'll do the first audit. That audit will include a third-party organization, for example, a consultancy, which will look at the design of the system, whether there are security vulnerabilities. If yes, the department will have to follow up, and after that, the consultant will do another audit to make sure that the security vulnerabilities have all been dealt with, and only then will the system be put into service. Thank you. Time is up. Because of time constraint, Ms. Emily Lau. Chairman, from the Snowden incident and various reports after that, it seems many countries are doing the same thing. I believe the mainland European countries and American countries are doing it. Maybe they are such skilled hackers that you cannot feel their presence, and they might have exited without your knowing. GCIO, do you understand that actually the entire international community can be quite treacherous? In other words, many people might have done it many times without leaving a trace. Maybe those who are lowly skilled will be discovered by you. But what is your analysis of the situation? GCIO? Our analysis is that we already have international security standards, and we are talking about ISO 27001, and also we have the ISACA Code Pack. These are well-recognized standards. Whether it be government or business organizations, they use the same standards to prevent and also do risk assessment. To do IT security, it is purely about risk management. Now, should we be 100% safe and then we call it total security? And when we click onto a link, when we store information, should we make use of technological help so that in every process we comply with risk assessment and also risk audit criteria? Is it that the SARG understands and accepts? This is done by many countries. There are spies in these countries, and they do so without leaving a trace. It seems all the countries are doing it. Is it that we understand this and we accept it because you know that you cannot do anything about it? Are we at that level, or which level are we at?
I don't believe that our government's computer systems can be hacked and data can be obtained without leaving a trace. theoretically, that should be the case. What kind of theory is that, Chairman? Please explain to us. As mentioned by him just now, we have international standards and we have information security systems, and if we aren't able to develop our own antivirus software, we need to rely on software developed by other countries, but those may not be of good quality. I don't want to spend too much time on this paper. This paper is about raising the information security awareness of the public to prevent and on educating the public on preventing their privacy from being intruded. So what? It's useless to talk about it. The NSA and also the counterpart in China, they are at a very high level. Mr. Ho. Yes, Chairman. How can individual users guard against hacking at the national level? I think if you don't want to be hacked, you should refrain from putting information on the internet. So on the one hand, you're promoting cloud computing, you're promoting the wider use of information technology in our daily lives. On the other hand, there is inadequate education. There is so-called human search engines online. There is internet bullying. Why do we see that? That's because you can easily dig up information of somebody online. So, Chairman, coming back to my question is about the national level. Just now, Dr. Elizabeth Quad asked a very good question. We should not just be concerned about the HKIX operated by Chinese University. There are also other infrastructure operators like hospitals, MTR, and so on and so forth, which rely on computer systems. And do we have backup system for these facilities? And have they properly backed up the data to guard against cyber attacks, so that once the system is hacked, the backup system can start to operate? Just like in Southeast Asian countries, the banks' computer systems were hacked, and it was suggested that the attacks came from North Korea as a cyber war. So my question is whether we have a good system to guard against these attacks. If we're unable to defend ourselves, do we have a good backup system? And also, do we have any program to nurture talents to develop measures to guard against attacks? If we just hope for leniency, for them to spare us so that we won't get hacked, then it's pessimistic. Well, you have 40 seconds. Thank you, Chairman. Now, be it government or the commercial sector or major systems, there are backup systems. They don't only run on a standby basis, they also need to undergo drills to prevent disastrous incidents. All our data centers have backup systems. Next, Mr. Sin Chung Kai. Chairman, another question on Snowden. Mr. Snowden said through the media in the open that the NSA attacked the government or the government systems of various places. So the evidence is clear. The grass is saying that it is happening. Mr. Snowden says it is happening, and at the public hearing at the U.S. House of Representatives, they denied these matters. So does it mean that we need to look for new initiatives or new technologies or new consultants to look through our system again? I don't know whether it's a case of the Indians in the face of Columbus in the in the Americas. There is a huge imbalance in terms of power. We need to find new technology. So any new thinking to cope with the situation? Now we have been reviewing the security of our information system. Whether or not this incident happened or not, we'll continue with our testing and our safeguards. Deputy GCIO. Thank you, Chairman. Just to supplement, Mr. Sin asked whether we will step up our effort. Of course, we have done what we can, firewalls, etc., and etc. But Mr. Sin, I wish you would understand that we also have a third-party audit. That is to say, after we've done our work, we commissioned experts to check whether we could guard against cyber attacks. Now, sometimes loopholes are found, or vulnerabilities are found in these audit exercises, and we will follow up on these matters to make sure that the loopholes are plugged, and we will continue with our work in this regard. So, a follow-up question. One is on the level of government to government facilities, and the two officials described it very clearly just now. What about non-government organizations or other sensitive organizations like education institutions like the Chinese University, for example? Can the government play a role in it? You may not be able to intervene directly, but what can you do to help? Thank you, Chairman. On a regular basis, we exchange our experience with non-government organizations. A month ago, I exchanged my experience with the experts, the IT expert with HA, and this is done on a regular basis. So much for this item. We have another agenda item, which is of members' interest on engineers. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong is of course interested in this topic. Now, about information security, because of Edward Snowden's incident, our concern has been whether the government could guard against cyber attacks. But the paper is actually irrelevant. We have the Hong Kong CERT, we have a monitoring system, we have third-party audits. That's more or less what the government has. But my concern is for individual citizens. What can be done to raise their awareness when they use the internet to protect their personal data privacy, to guard against phishing and online frauds? Well, nothing here is about Edward Snowden, so please continue with your effort. Next agenda item. Next item. A lot of representatives from the administration, Mr. Joe Wong, Deputy Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Mr. Ivan Ho Chang, Principal Assistant Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, and Ms. Eliza Lee, Director General of Communications, AFCA, Mr. Danny Lau, Deputy Director General of Communications, and Mr. Chaucer Leung, Assistant Director Regulatory, and also Mr. John Kwok Fai, Managing Director, Trico Consulting Limited, and Mrs. Rachel Cartland, member of the expert panel for the review of telecommunications engineer grade in the AFCA. Please be seated. Recently, there was a submission from the staff side, LC paper 868/1213 bracket 01, that's from the TE staff of the TE grade. They're concerned about their grade. So, Ms. Ho, please. The Office of the Communications Authority, OFCA, reviewed the functions of the telecommunications engineer TE grade. Today, we brief members on the outcome of the review. With rapid development of the telecommunications over the past 2 decades, we developed from purely telecommunications, which is on a purely technical basis, to a number of matters involving various disciplines, and the technology involved is getting more and more complex, and the work involved has also gone beyond purely telecommunications. In order for the staff to cope with the relevant areas, with the approval of FC in 2011, we proposed to create the RAM grade, Regulatory Affairs Manager, which would embrace talents in the relevant disciplines such as law, economics, accounting, business administration, etc. And as set out in the paper, TE grade original is the main civil service grade responsible for regulatory work in OFCA in providing telecommunications engineering support, and so on and so forth. To allow the suitable deployment of staff resources, we reviewed whether the functions of the T grade should be subsumed under the RAM grade. A consultant was commissioned last year. This report was completed in June this year. May I invite the consultant to brief us on the outcome? Now, we need to keep watch of the time, so as the consultant walks us through the paper, please be as brief as possible because our meeting is scheduled to end at 4:30. Now, PS already set out the objective of this review, and that is whether the TE grade should be subsumed under the new grade. And apart from commissioning an experienced consultant, we also set up an expert panel, including assistant professor in the electronic engineering faculty of the local university, a former senior executive staff of from a leading telecommunications company, and also a retired senior civil servant. We have done work in a number of areas. We reviewed the internal documentation of OFCA, and we also conducted research. We obtained information to review the functions and also the impact on what staff would be necessary to carry out the work. And against this backdrop, we interviewed the regulatory affairs managers as well as engineers. Now, we then conducted a detailed analysis on the 39 posts of the TE grade. And having done the detailed analysis, we also drew reference from the overseas practices, and we also got an understanding from the two departments with TE grades, namely the Hong Kong Police Force and the Hong Kong and the RTHK. And then we prepared the initial report, and we consulted the staff side, including RAM and TE, on the initial report before we published the final report. So may I briefly take you through the outcome of the review? The telecommunications industry is constantly evolving, and the functions necessary to regulate the industry are multifarious. We think that apart from being familiar with local legislation and the operation of the industry, the staff must also be very familiar with the development of local telecommunications industry. They must be equipped with knowledge other than telecommunications engineering, such as law, accounting, economics, and information technology. So we have divided the job into 4 categories. Now, category A means duty that must be performed by chartered engineers. Category B means pure engineering duties requiring in-depth engineering knowledge, which means TE as well as RAM works. Category C, multifarious regulatory duties. Category D as well. It's RAM is more suitable for category D duties.
After doing this analysis, we have collated all the information and we have found that there is no duty of any of the TE grade posts in OFTA which strictly require a chartered engineer to perform. And amongst categories B, C, D, well, we have got these full-timer equivalents. We could see 19.4 belonging to Cat B, and then 14.72 for Cat C, and 5.24 for Cat D. We have taken reference from overseas regulatory bodies. We have looked at the situation in Australia, the UK, and also Singapore. We could see that their direction is also to go for a multidisciplinary team with people from different backgrounds so that they can take care of the ever-changing environment. We have again looked at the TE grade at Hong Kong Police Force and RTHK. We could see that compared to the OFTA, they have quite different duties. They have mainly internal servicing and also operational duties, and they do not do any regulatory work as those in OFTA or OFCA. We have also listened to the Hong Kong Institute of Engineers and also Mr. Mok, who is the constituency representative. The Hong Kong IE says that professional engineers' work should not be taken up by any other people. They must be a member of the Hong Kong IE. And Mr. Mok does not agree with the subsuming of the TE grade into the RAM grade, because it can show that the administration doesn't understand the importance of the TE grade for the work of OFCA. And people in Hong Kong may misunderstand that in Hong Kong communications or telecommunications will not be regulated. And also no people would like to join the TE positions. And in fact, Mr. Mok is saying that there should be a certain number of TE posts preserved, so that there would be also sufficient regulatory work done. We have looked at all these views and we have come up with two options. One, the subsuming option. And this means that all TE grade posts will be ultimately regraded to RAM posts. This may take 18 years to complete, because all serving TE will retire or leave the post, and upon that the post will become an RAM post. And the advantages of doing this is that we can have a multi-skilled team so we can take care of future operational needs, because there will be more flexibility to deploy different skills within the RAM grade, and this will benefit human resources deployment. If we can also have cross-grade promotion, then TE posts can also be promoted to RAM posts, but then there will be a problem, and that is there is opposition from the TE grade, and also the implementation period of 18 years is quite long. And of course, people may have the view that there would not be enough engineer professionals in the OFCA. Secondly, we could preserve the TE grade just to do what is purely technical. If we look at the existing post holders, 30 are TEs amongst the 39 posts, we could see that over 50% of the duties are technical duties, and meaning 25 posts. The advantage is that if we can preserve 25 posts, then hopefully the opposition will be less, and also people will see that there will still be enough engineering input at the OFCA. Now that would mean that within 4 years, if 5 engineers leave the post, this will be implemented. But then there will still be some resilience, we believe, from the TE grade. And also in terms of manpower deployment, there would not be so much flexibility. And there will be less promotion opportunity for the TE grade. To summarize the report, we have briefed the management of OFCA and also the TE grade on the initial report. Now could I hand over to Ms. Wong to tell you our final recommendation.
In fact, it was some 20 years ago within government that I was handling these issues myself, and that was really a watershed or revolutionary time. Before then, we had just one telecom company, which was franchised, and we had just 2 free-to-air broadcasters. Afterwards, we had a very competitive telecom market, one of the most competitive in the entire world. Satellite television, cable television, and now many more technically feasible possibilities. And I would say, looking at what we've got on the table to discuss today, the government is almost belatedly catching up in its reaction to that entirely changed landscape. I myself consider, as part of the consultancy team, that the subsuming option would be the optimal, because it would give OFCA all the flexibility it needs. The issues nowadays, as Ms. Ho has explained, are completely different from what we were dealing with in the past. There's much, much greater emphasis on competitive and regulatory economic issues, and correspondingly less on the technical. However, I think we all have to recognize that it's difficult for people sometimes to accept change, particularly perhaps civil service staff. And therefore, a good compromise is the second option that's been suggested in this report, which is that we keep for some time the posts where there's the highest technical content. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Yes, Chairman, I'd like to say here that just now the consultancy explained to you the analysis and the recommendation, and I'd like to report to you that with regard to the review work, our final decision is that within OFCA we will maintain or preserve 25 TE posts. And on the 26th of June, we have already written to the relevant post holders. We believe this will meet the operational needs of the department, and at the same time, we have also taken on board the opposition from the TE grade. Okay, this is some new development. Actually, we have talked about this issue many times at the panel. This time around, we have the consultancy report, so we have more basis for our discussion. The TEs have objected to the subsuming option. They wouldn't like their post to be subsumed under the RAM post. Now we have an engineer here, we have the representative from the constituency, and just now the consultancy has also covered their views. Now I'd like to give each member 3 minutes because of time constraint. The engineer, Lo Wai Kwok. Thank you, Chairman. Let us go back to page 6. I think the consultant's report is full of contradictions. You say that Cat A, those are duties that must be performed by chartered engineers. And you said it amounts to 0. Cat B, what are those? Duties that are pure engineering duties requiring in-depth engineering knowledge. If you require in-depth engineering knowledge, then you are still saying that they must not be performed by chartered engineers. That is really unimaginable. Professional work and professional qualification are closely linked. If you do not have a certain qualification, you should not be doing that kind of professional work within government. In the civil service, professional grade and non-professional grades, they have always cooperated very well, and we must honor that. Therefore, I think the subsuming option is just something that wastes our time. The department says it will not take up the subsuming option. I think that is desirable. But if you follow this consultancy report, then you can draw another conclusion. And that is that the professional TEs will be reduced to just 25. According to this conclusion, according to this consultancy report, I think it is not acceptable. But I'm happy about the non-acceptance of the subsuming option, but I also object strongly to allowing the TE grade to taper off. I don't think any analysis of the situation should let you come to this conclusion. That is just a remark. Any response? If not, next. Well, even if there is time, I mean, do they support and accept with everything I said? If that is the case, they should retract that report. From the OFCA, I think we have heard from OFCA. In the end, strictly speaking, there is no conclusion, but there is only an inclination. No, Chairman. According to the analysis of the consultant, you only need 25 TEs. Even if they do not adopt the subsuming option, in other words, the grade will taper off. That is not desirable. The OFCA has said that they accept this part, but we also object to this part. Well, that is what consultants always do. They just help to improve efficiency and cut costs. Next one, Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Chairman, I think Mr. Low has made a valid point. If you limit the posts of the TE grade, then in the end, they are going to shrink in size. You have separated the duties into 4 categories, and your analysis is that Cat C and Cat D do not require chartered engineers because they do not entail in-depth engineering knowledge. That is what you estimate the trend to be. In the future, what is the trend like? I don't think that is happening with the companies. As you know, in Japan, they use the Ford principle. In other words, you must know every part of the chain of production. Well, I object to that because it makes workers work too hard. But the thing is, if we go for your analysis, if these people have the professional qualification of engineers, is that going to be in the way of your operation? I mean, if they have professional qualification, but they do work which do not require professional qualification, would that be standing in the way of your operation? Maybe you can respond to that question. Well, actually, the point is not whether someone is a chartered engineer, but rather TE in the OFCA, which is a regulatory body, and what the duties are for the TE and what service they provide to the OFCA. Well, that is actually engineering support and technical service support. This is the terms of duty. As the PS said at the beginning, in the past 20 years, the development is such that originally there was just one franchise. But today, we have 17 fixed net operations and 5 mobile operators and over 500 service providers. The regulatory work is not purely technical. It is now multifarious, and it is a kind of economic regulation. And economic regulation would involve the undesirable operating practices and also antitrust behavior and also consumer matters and also interconnection charges and disputes about such charges. All these have nothing to do with technical regulation. Our TEs do not have that qualification or experience or skills or even the interest to execute these duties. So we must find people who are multifarious and multi-skilled, like RAMs, so we can have effective discharge of our economic regulation duties.
In fact, the most important thing is that the resources allocators must tie in with the nature of duties. Mr. Leung Kwok-hong, well, a simple question. Do you think that fewer TE posts are required? Well, that depends on the workload and also the nature of work, as I mentioned just now. Well, she's not stopping. I asked you a very simple question. Please, Director General. Yes, I have heard what you said. You're saying that we don't need so many professional engineers. You can have more posts for other people from other disciplines to take up the duties. Now, my question is it your forecast that many chartered engineers and many engineers with in-depth knowledge will no longer be required in the field because the nature of duties is shifting towards regulatory matters? Oh, sorry, your time is up. Next, Mr. Charles Mock. I think the whole incident shows how the government is neglecting the qualification of chartered engineers. Just now, the GCIO told us that under the Digital 21 strategy, qualification standards would be set for IT engineers. And the government actually took the lead in accrediting IT engineers. But now the government is taking the lead to ignoring the professional qualifications of engineers. Well, yes, if you need other professionals, you can recruit more RAMs, and more professionals in other areas. But it doesn't mean that engineers can be done away with. If that is the case, then, well, the university programs can stop, and the Hong Kong IE can also dissolve. You don't need to pay attention to the views of TE staff, and in fact, the report outcome remains the same. Well, chartered engineers is very important because they are independent. Just like the recent example for 3G, the OGCIO says that it will be it's 18% lower, but in the private sector, it's 30%. If you have no professional skills, how can you argue with the private sector? In the end, you need to commission a consultant. Now, coming back to a recent incident, again, Edward Snowden, when we talk about hacking into the backbone of our system, hacking into the optic cables under the sea, well, we need professional knowledge. You cited some examples, the RTHK and the Hong Kong Police Force. You said that professional skills are necessary. Now, regulating ICT or telecommunications, it's important as well. So for internal duties in RTHK, professional knowledge is required. Whereas in the face of professional engineers, no professional skill is required. I'm afraid that you won't be able to cope with them. Also, for even for the second option, the TE engineers are still against this option. They are still concerned that through natural wastage, the grade will eventually be dried up. No more open recruitments will be made. In fact, the three of us already wrote to the panel. We think that this is important because if this happens to one government department, then for other departments like EMSD, eventually this could happen. So, Chairman, I just make this point here. It's not our decision. I don't think we should just endorse this paper. Well, it's not a matter of whether we endorse this report or not. This is just for our reference. We're just invited to note the paper. And there are two options, as you can see. Whether or not the non-subsuming option is chosen, eventually the TE grade will be gone. With development in the information technology field, many posts will be replaced, I'm sure. Well, many telecommunications engineers are civil servants, and you need to look after the sentiment, and this is why the government is willing to make a compromise. But in the long run, the TE grade will have to be phased out. That's the logic of the report. If you read the report, this is a business organization. Of course, they think in a way of saving costs, etc., etc. So we're just invited to note this report, and according to the administration, they're going to go for the non-subsuming option. We can follow up on this issue at the CS panel. With Dr. Lo Wai Kwok, we still have some time left. You are representing the engineering sector. Okay, we're still on slide 6, and I'd like to point out how ridiculous this slide is. For duties requiring pure engineering and in-depth engineering knowledge, there is no requirement that they be performed by chartered engineers. I'm sure the engineers will strongly object to that. Coming back to the view of the TEs in OFCA, I'd like to read out their position. It's very clear. They do not accept this consultancy report, which is unfounded. And how is it unfounded? As you can see on the slide. As for professional entry requirements, and the requirements are actually the same as those applicable to other engineering posts in the civil service, and there must be posts or there must be recruitment to make up for those retiring. Now there's a concern that the grade will eventually be dried up without any further open recruitment, so they will strongly object to it. I think the matter will go back to the PSP, because although the subsuming option will probably not be chosen, it's still risky, because some multifarious but non-professional staff will be incorporated, and this is problematic, as pointed out by Mr. Charles Mock. Professional knowledge may be required to carry out some duties. If you say that you can engage professionals if you can engage professional engineers, you can equally engage professionals like lawyers and accountants, etc. That doesn't mean that the professional grade should be done away with. All right, Dr. Low, your time is up. Director General, your brief response. Now, I'd like to explain here that why, after the consultancy report, we eventually went for the non-subsuming option. As a member of the managerial level, I firmly believe that in order to cope with present needs, the OFCA has only, in fact, one option. It should be a cross-discipline and multidiscipline grade, and this is in line with other authorities in other jurisdictions. This is the way to go in the long run, but as a member of the managerial level, I also need to consider the sentiment of engineers. Chairman, let me finish. An unhappy team will not be an efficient team. So having struck a balance between the two, I have finally decided to maintain the TE grade in OFCA to perform technical regulatory duties that require in-depth engineering knowledge. But apart from considering their sentiment, I, as a manager, must also consider rational use of resources. in terms of manpower deployment and allocation of resources, there must not be any mismatch. I must not deploy excessive manpower on to carry out duties that they are not equipped with the necessary knowledge. And this is the most efficient and economically effective way. For the 25 posts, now in the course of preparing the report, out of the 39 posts, the result of the review is that the optimum should be set at 25. And once we need to fill up all the 25 posts, a recruitment exercise will be held. So I've invited the administration to respond to Mr. Charles Mock and Dr. Lo Wai Kwok's comments. And so much for this item. Thank you, representatives from the administration, for attending this last meeting of this panel before recess, and we'll be meeting you next session.